Hi there, I'm Andrea. I'm one of the Big Pick partners and I'm the onboarding lead. In fact, we may have met previously when I ran the webinar just a couple of weeks ago. With me today, though, I've got my other partner, Tunch, and Tunch works as a senior manager in the retail sector. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to ask Tunch from that particular perspective a few questions around the onboarding experience in that environment. So, Tunch, tell me, as a manager for a national houseware retailer, what was your impression of onboarding when you first joined your organisation?
Hi, Andrea. Thanks for the opportunity. 10 years ago, it was when I joined my existing company, and the onboarding at the time was carried out with a very manual process,
Mhm.
which led to a lot of time being spent on paperwork, especially.
Mm.
So it created a lot of HR
Mm.
processes to fill in. However, one good thing on that one was that I was given the opportunity to learn by practicing it
Very
on the
good.
shop floor and learning from being buddied up with the experienced colleagues and learning the
Okay.
processes and having opportunity to practice. Because as you appreciate, when you start a new role, you're extremely excited about it. You want to find out as much as you can about it, and you want to start doing something hands-on
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So that was the benefit
It's,
of the onboarding process at the time.
mm.
However, the manual process and the paperwork side of it was the lengthy,
Yeah.
time-consuming, and costly process as well at the same time.
Sounds almost quite tortuous from that point of view, and almost kind of pushing the organisation more towards compliance, perhaps even more so than the quality, although I'm sure you, with your character and style, would make the best of the buddy situations.
That's
So
correct.
tell me, what wasn't working from the business's point of view, and particularly with your manager's hat on?
Well, initially it was difficult to understand the expectations of the new hire and to be able to respond to those needs as well in the best possible way, because you
Mm.
want to give the right impression to the new hire, but when you are spending a lot of time with the HR processes and paperwork, it's actually off-putting from the new hire's perspective, and it adds on to extra pressures to managers' shoulders really to onboard a new colleague.
Mm.
And at the same time, it's about planning. It requires a lot of time, a lot of planning. There's cost involved because you have to buddy up with another colleague, and that puts them off doing their own duties.
Mhm.
So from those perspectives, it was quite stressful for the managers, from managers' perspective, to onboard a new hire, because as well
Mm.
as dealing with compliance issues, that you're also trying to meet the demand of your own
Mm.
existing colleagues and understand the expectations of the new hire and also keep them motivated as well. So
Mm.
it was very challenging.
Mm. I also get an impression from your description that from the new recruits, the new hires perspective, it was very paper driven. Yes, there's the buddy system, and that in itself is sound. I think that's a very good principle. But that otherwise it could almost be quite an isolating process in a kind of strange kind of way. So in an ideal world, what do you need onboarding to do for both the business and the new hires?
Well, Andrea, as we know, I believe onboarding is the very first stage of giving the right impression of a firm, of an organization to a new hire.
Mm.
It can deepen the employee engagement,
Mm.
boost the productivity of the colleague, and also reduce the turnover, or it can go the opposite way.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, What I have recently seen is on a research has been carried out in some of the big corporations is that 28 of workers who are onboarded unproductively leave their business within 90 days of their new start
Gosh.
date, which obviously leads to loss of reputation.
Yes.
Uh, Companies aren't able to retain their talent or
Yeah.
develop their talent.
Yeah.
It's loss of time, and more importantly, it's loss of business and loss of money, really.
Exactly.
So that therefore it's extremely important to be able to balance the onboarding process, the paperwork, manual, compliance side of things, legalities,
Mhm.
as well as trying to meet the new hires' expectations and keep their motivations high, being able to give them something that they can learn in step by step and have chance to practice it in a
Mhm.
hands-on approach.
Mhm.
So it keeps their motivations high, it gives a better structured onboarding process, and also the new hires do learn it from what we use nowadays, e-learning that we
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
which is also
Mm,
cost and
mm,
time
mm,
productive as well solution.
mm.
However, it has to be backed up by hands-on
Sure,
practice. Yeah.
sure. And I know that you've also been using the Big Pick as an onboarding vehicle. So what's been the difference that that's been making for the business and the recruits themselves?
The way we engage colleagues, as you know, on Big Pick system is all about creating an environment where colleagues find the value that they add on themselves and the way they
Yeah.
can contribute, even from their day one. So it is an extremely important and productive engagement tool. Through use of Big Pick, it actually sets a structure and helps colleagues to understand how the plan works and brings that plan to life of onboarding so that both sides, the employer and the employee, know what their roles are with PickPick and can answer and ask and answer the questions to each other, which adds extra meaning to their onboarding process and
Mm.
structure.
I've got a real sense then of your experience being through Big Pick of it being a very dynamic process, that it enables the interconnectivity within and across the business, not only between the new recruits but with with their manager and with other managers. So it's almost like this spider web of networks that's going on.
It is. So it also helps the new hires to understand the business vision and the
Mhm.
purpose and share that purpose. They can bring their own personal values onto the table as well as sharing and understanding businesses purposes.
Nice.
It gives an opportunity to the employer and to the line managers to understand what values the new hires that they have hold and how they can match those values with the organizational values and create one big mission to have a starting point for the new hires career that will
Ooh.
make a positive contribution to the company's
Mm.
own.
Their own bottom line, yeah. I mean, that really talks to me about engagement, how it feeds engagement. So if you had any final recommendations or thoughts for any organization about recruiting, what would be your final one or two takeaways for them?
First of all, is recently the HR processes have changed. Obviously, moved on from manual to more digital. It
Yes.
is great to have, I like, as I mentioned, having e-learning modules for the new hires
Right.
to be given to. However, new hires, uh, as I said before, join the companies highly motivated. So
Yeah.
it's extremely important through onboarding process to keep their motivations high. One
Mm,
of the ways of doing this would be using big picture, for example. As we mentioned earlier on, being able to give some kind of a structure and plan
mm,
and to help them to join in a dialogue with their line managers to understand each other's expectations and to be able to see how they can contribute
mm,
towards each other and reach one agreed objective that would serve the company's overall mission. And it starts from onboarding process.
mm.
However, whilst doing e-learning, we should be refraining from letting the new hire just go away and take your time and go on your
Yeah.
computer, spend hours and hours because we have got a fantastic technological tool. Here, it's critical to understand that we should not be portraying that as if we are onboarding the tools that we are using. We
Mm,
are onboarding the new hire with the help of those tools. So therefore, spending time with the colleague, taking it step by step rather than overloading them with all different modules to learn and giving them the opportunity to find chance to practice what they learn and taking your time with onboarding process would stop them being feeling isolated, losing the motivation they have, and also would give a better impression of the company that they've joined in, so that they know they're in the right place.
Thank you so much. You've given me such a strong sense of Big Pick being a complementary onboarding tool to make up the whole with e-learning. So it's not a suggestion of throwing out the baby with the bathwater, but that we need to embed people in an organization and do it in a complementary way. Tunch, thank you so much for your time today. I do hope that this has given our website visitors some insight into Big Pick, but also through the onboarding lens. And indeed, our next Big Pick webinar is going to be on Friday, the 12th of February. And the focus that day is going to be on engaging change. And that's going to be led by our colleagues, Martin and also Richard. Thanks so much for joining us on this insight through this interview with Tunch. Thanks very much for your time. And thanks again, Tunch. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Andrea. Bye-bye.